Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. If you're watching this video and it's Salah time, please pause it and go pray and come back when you're done. Please check out the description section of this video to donate to Palestine and to support the channel. Candace Owens seems to be defending Muslims more than some Muslims are defending their fellow Muslims these days, especially the coconuts born in Muslim households, desperately pandering to right-wing weirdos for a pat on the head from their perceived masters. And speaking of right-wing weirdos, that brings me nicely to Jordan Peterson, a man who at first when he appeared online seemed to be sensible, mature and even appealed to Muslims with his logic. So much so that at the time he spoke respectfully about Islam and even collaborated with Muslim dais, having intelligent and again respectful conversations. But it turns out all Jordan's level-headedness and respect towards Islam and based advice to his male followers was just drug-induced from the pills he was popping. Fast forward to today and he spinelessly bootlicks for Israel, collaborates with well-known Islamophobes and is a whipping boy for his slimy employer Ben Shapiro at the Daily Wire. In contrast, the lovely Candace Owens dumped the Daily Wire, speaks highly of Muslims and speaks up against the injustice happening in Palestine, despite not having to do so, but does so because it's simply the right thing to do. Let's look at Candace speaking about Jordan Peterson's embarrassing fall from grace and politely exposing him as the fraud he is for losing the confidence of his male followers and the global Muslim community.
In February of 2020, news broke that Jordan Peterson was seeking emergency drug treatment. Jordan Peterson's family says he has sought emergency drug detox treatment in Russia after several failed attempts to overcome his dependence on a potent anti-anxiety medicine. The article says that his family says he had been taking the drug for years. His dependence reportedly started last spring after doctors increased his dosage to help him cope with stress, and he apparently had what appears to me to be a drug overdose. This is a New York Post headline entitled, "He was suicidal and addicted to benzos." As I said, Jordan Peterson was not being honest, which would mean that he violated one of his 12 rules. So I'm going to be honest about when all this was coming out and it was all very confusing and it wasn't quite clear. Is this a food allergy? Is this depression? Is this just somebody who's addicted to pills and doesn't want to quite tell the public? I was having private conversations with people and people that are in the conservative movement going, I don't see how he's going to recover from this moment, because it just seems to me that if your entire brand is built on telling people how to order their lives, and then what becomes apparent is that your life is in disarray, how do they trust you again? I believe that comebacks can only happen when you are radically honest. And I don't think people sensed that he was being radically honest in what had occurred to him. Instead, they felt that he was kind of trying to give a PR spin to what may have just been a good old-fashioned drug addiction. I think men felt like they couldn't trust him. They never felt that he was fully honest, and it felt like there was a lot of him and his daughter kind of trying to condition this in a different vein. There never seemed to be that big, radical, honest moment that came from him. And so that is why I believe that a lot of men have fallen out of love with Jordan Peterson, because they don't perceive him as somebody that is living his life honestly. Then we fast forward to October 7th, 2023, a day that will live in conservative media infamy, because it just was a moment where people behaved in ways that the public is never going to forget, in my view. And on that day, Jordan Peterson did not tweet like Jordan Peterson, which is to say he did not tweet in a calm, rational manner. Here is what he tweeted. He wrote, "Give 'em hell, Netanyahu, enough is enough." And he began trending and he lost a huge following, partially because he was perhaps not aware, because I'm sure, listen, he's 62 years old, he probably is not aware of the demographics of his audience, but it turns out that Jordan Peterson had a huge following of Muslims behind him, and they felt that this response was not calm. It was not dictated by rationality or the logos, which Jordan Peterson loves to speak about. He speaks about how postmodernism wants you to abandon your logos. It wants you just to react emotionally without properly thinking. And it seemed that that's exactly what Jordan Peterson did on October 7th. He wasn't asking for people to be calm. He was participating in the madness of crowds that he often speaks about. And people did not like that. And you saw people in the Muslim community saying, we will never listen to another word that he ever says, because he has not used his platform to talk about some of the hell that Muslims have also been enduring.
It just seems like Candace never misses a beat. She's right when she said Jordan Peterson can't be taken seriously because he does not practice what he preaches, which is evident from how he tried to lie to cover up his addiction and from his horrible and juvenile violence inciting stance from October 7th to the present day. In fact, I would go as far as to say we should discount all his content while he was high. If you compare it to his recent interviews, it's night and day. On the pills, Peterson was slaying liberal journalists and telling men to fix up morally. And off the pills, Peterson is crying like a baby as the media humiliates him and he encourages war criminals to eliminate children and innocent civilians. Candace is right when she says we can't trust him. This guy is Ben Shapiro's latest sidekick at the Israeli Wire. Anyone who fits the current profile of a Daily Wire employee has to contain such a low level of slime that can not only stomach genocide but will also actively encourage it. Get out while you still can, Brett. You're better than these people. Peterson has ostracised himself from Muslims even further by not only aligning with Zionists but also with Islamophobes like Tommy Robinson, who he recently platformed so Tommy could blame the world's problems on Islam and Muslims as usual. Robinson is a scammer. Peterson is a propagandist, and both are well-known addicts. They probably got wasted after the interview and watched video footage of brown children being massacred whilst high-fiving with Shapiro. Big respect to Candace for calling out yet another hypocritical, untrustworthy, dishonest grifter. She is the gift that keeps on giving. And anybody that takes life advice from people like Jordan Peterson and the people he associates with, it speaks volumes about how much of a mess your life must be. Thank you for watching. Make sure to join my free Telegram group via the link in the description, where we as Muslims can speak freely and without censorship about issues like this, and in order to guide and support each other in our deen. And remember to like, subscribe and become a channel member for access to exclusive content. Until next time, inshallah, Jazakallah khair.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allah